He sits down as he waits for his guest. His coffee does not help the time pass. Disappointment sets in. If he only had real deal coffee to indulge in, when it's chocolate-covered almonds and maple syrup citrus finish, roasted right here in the US of A, life would only be that much better. Real deal coffee. Because indulgence is just a cup away.
Johnny is an American, you can't tap the wheel. No one needs anyone, they don't even just pretend. God is an American. Johnny's an American. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid of it. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. Johnny's American. Johnny's American. Johnny's American. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans. Johnny's an American. Johnny's an American. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. Johnny's an American. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of Americans. God is an American.
We are here. People's Republic of Canada. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the #1 shadow band show in the world at war. I am your late night host who is late with technical issues beyond belief here tonight. Dean Ryan coming at you like an American hurricane who's here to just knock down the carnage of Canada. That's right. Tonight's show, tonight's episode is titled The People's Republic of Canada. And what a crafty title that is. And that's how they are referred to by many Canadians. So we're only borrowing the phrase. And we don't want to misgender Canada now, do we? Tonight's show is going to be quite the crafty one, to use that term, as tonight we're going to be welcoming back Aaron Cates, who's on deck, ready to join us. We're going to be talking about some major things in Canada that are now underway as the election that is or was to never be supposed to be. It's underway, but which way is the Canadian wind going to blow? Which way? We don't know. We don't know where that is going to go. So Aaron's going to shed some light on that and just how much damage is this current prime minister? How much damage is he going to be doing to Canada if he remains in power? We don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. And what is the Chinese role in this, Xi Jinping. Which is interesting because if the wind does blow more towards the Far East for Canada, then that becomes a national security issue for the United States that is going to be stemming and coming from the north right into Michigan. So we're going to be hypothesizing about that here tonight, as well as we have some things going on in the world of autism, as we have a follow-up story for you regarding RFK and some of the just discoveries, I guess we can now call it, that are now being shared with the rest of the world. And so all the other countries are going to follow the American lead. So we'll be talking about that, plus some big real deal international news. Some things that Hungary, which is like a sister country to us, are following the lead of the United States with the genders. There's only 2 genders. Can I say that? So we'll get into that. And some World War III news with North Korea, who's coming out of hibernation. What does that mean? And a huge ruckus has now unfolded in the House, not the House of Parliament or Funkadelic for that fact, but the House of Congress, as tempers have flared and caused a melee. And it's involving Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think I finally got her name right. Yes, as the people who are speaking there are going crazy, and you could just feel the tension rising from the ashes of a Planned Parenthood. That's right. And a huge, massive blackout that I'm going to tell you about. So that's what we have here tonight, and we're going to go as fast as possible because I have a real challenge, if you only knew. So anyways, before we go, we are broadcasting live on The Real Dean Ryan on Facebook, and Dean Ryan TV on YouTube, and our Frozen channel over there at Rumble. Yes, we are. And if we have time, I have a major announcement. Not, I shouldn't say major, but an announcement towards the end of tonight. So let's get started with some headlines from around the world and in your neck of the woods, shall we? Okay, let's get started here. Now, before we get really going, here are some breaking news tidbits that I am now going to be sharing with you. And this one is, wow, this one is quite a big one here. I can now report to you within this last 30, 40 minutes or so, we're making the announcement that Donald Trump has officially halted the Israeli strike on Iran. Yes, the Netanyahu doctrine has been halted, and this is not going to be good for Trump's fake friendship, TV friendship with Netanyahu, as now Donald Trump is now opting for diplomacy, which we kind of predicted around here. We knew this was a lot of wartime theater. Well, now several reports are now revealing that President Donald Trump has declined to support any imminent Israeli military operation targeting Iran's nuclear facilities. Instead, the United States administration, the Trump administration, is now favoring engaging in diplomatic negotiations with Iran to curb its nuclear ambitions. This decision was made after many weeks of deliberation, with the Trump administration highlighting a preference for diplomacy over military action. Thank God. Thank the heavens. Thank the heavens. That is amazing news. And I just became a born again. Isn't that great? So there we have it. And that's fantastic to hear. Okay, let's continue on now, because we have some other tidbits of the breaking news realm that we'll share with you as we continue on here. But now we're going to go to a follow-up story from last night's leaker under Pete Hegseth, the Defense Secretary of War, as this one is now, yes, the third top Pentagon official suspended in a leak investigation. Yeah, this is very pressing, very timely too, for a reason. Yeah, the third top after last night's revelation. Well, the Pentagon put a third top official on administrative leave Wednesday as part of a wide-ranging leak investigation, which, by the way, is all going to lead up to espionage. And you can apply the same thing to all the technology in the AI world and the development that has been going to China for quite some time, because you have to recall and remember that China is the number one uh, stealer, thief of all technology and all intellectual property around the world, and including steel. By the way, I just found out they owned all the steel ports in manufacturing realms in England. I just found that out yesterday. Now, according to a defense official and a person who's definitely familiar with the matter, Colin Carroll, Chief of Staff to Deputy Defense Secretary Stephen Feinberg, was suspended a day after two other political appointees were placed on leave following a probe into potential leaks now of sensitive information. Now, the leaks under investigation include military operational plans for the Panama Canal. So you see where this is leading up to? China. See that? A second carrier headed to the Red Sea, Elon Musk's controversial visit to the Pentagon to discuss China and a pause in the collection of intelligence for Ukraine, according to the official. Now, Carroll and the Defense Department did not immediately respond to any request for a comment. However, Carroll, a Marine Corps reserve officer, recently worked at the, it's a matter of a defense contracting company that specializes in autonomous systems. Didn't I just mention AI? You see where this is going? See where this is going. Now, it's worth noting that he was fired by the Biden administration for creating a hostile environment while chief operating officer to the Pentagon, former Joint Artificial Intelligence Center. Now, Dan Caldwell, as you recall, just last night, as we shared with you, who was first placed on leave. Well, he was a senior advisor to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Darren Selnick, the Defense Department's deputy chief of staff. Now, they were both escorted. I get it's now coming out. They were both escorted out of the Pentagon building yesterday by security officers and had their building access suspended pending further investigations. So this is huge. This is a clear and present danger that all leads to espionage to China. You see how that works? Moving on now. Well, now the CDC, the Center of Deception Control, is now saying that the measles cases are most likely underreported as outbreak swells in Texas. Just in time. The CDC, who's been under a tremendous amount of scrutiny by the public for the past 5 years, but especially now, well, now they're saying that the measles cases are most likely underreported in the U.S. as a public health official scrambles to find resources to address the ballooning outbreak over there in the Southwest, according to senior scientists at the Centers for Deception Control and so-called Prevention. Now, so far this year, just to note, 747 cases have been reported in the United States, according to many news outlets. Now, they're all stemming it in honing in on two unmiracle jab children in Texas who tested positive as patients 0 and patients 1. And you know they're going to be pushing for the new cure for all this. That's a miracle. Now, in light of all this, the CDC has deployed 15 people to Texas to help manage the outbreak, and it's sending 7 more this week. Well, thank God. Thank God. Now we have 22 CDC people. I was just so worried. However, the Center of Deception slashed $11.4 billion in its COVID funding last month. Yes, the money laundering seems to be drying up there, some of which helps state health departments respond to disease outbreaks. Okay, well, that's we could care less. We just want that money back. So, yeah, they're really starting to ramp up the bird flu and the measles. They're going to see which one affects the American people in the category of fear the most. So that's how that one is here. Now, next story here we have, well, this is, U.S., the United States office that counters foreign disinformation is being eliminated. Now, this is another great story, too. This comes at a time where the UK is cracking down on thought crimes, new speech crimes, and where you have the EU and all the leaders over there in Brussels literally say, as well as the WEF, that the biggest adversary to the people of the world is misinformation. Well, the U.S. just stuck their thumb in their eye, as now the United States office that counters all this is now gone. Yeah, that's right. The conservative critics, all alike, have long accused the State Department's Counter Foreign Information Manipulation and Interference Hub. Well, it's been helping censor all Americans alike. Yeah, the only office within the U.S. State Department that monitors foreign information is to be eliminated, according to U.S. Secretary of State little Marco Rubio over there. That's right. The Counter Foreign Information Manipulation and Interference Hub is a small office over there, the State Department's public office in D.C. Well, now it's officially shutting. The department's controversial acting Undersecretary Darren Beattie, who's delivering a major win to conservative critics around the board. So, yeah, it's going the way of the buffalo, finally, like the Department of Education, and we couldn't be happier. Continuing, well, speaking of people that need to go away and fall off a cliff, well, that brings us to California's Gavin Newsom. Yes, a man who's vying to be president and trying to be moderate on his way there. Well, now he is prepared to sue the Trump administration, as it's the first state, California, to sue Trump on tariffs. That's right. The alleged governor, Mr. Gavin Newsom, who's part of the Pelosi crime family, is suing Donald Trump over tariffs in an aggressive move to end the president's stranglehold on the global commerce. Well, Newsom's lawsuit announced today, this morning to be exact, with California Attorney General Rob Bonta, who's a total worthless POS, is the first challenge from the United States, from a U.S. state for that fact, against Trump's signature foreign policy that is now allegedly strangleholded all of the money laundering in California. Now, California is said to be the world's fifth largest economy, stands to lose billions to tariffs, with major state industries from Silicon Valley to agriculture heavily dependent on global trade. Here's a quote from someone who's familiar with the matter. Well, they're saying that President Trump's unlawful tariffs are weakening and wreaking chaos on California families, businesses in our economy, driving up prices and threatening jobs, according to Newsom. I mean, he has no hand in that. It's all Trump's fault. Like California was just peachy keen before Trump got here. And, he pretends he doesn't know how the fires started and who started them. Isn't that the case? Well, another place that seems to be going under is one of the provinces of the United States, and that's Puerto Rico, as a massive blackout is now plaguing the entire country as a whole and leaves all of Puerto Rico without power. Now, this is a kind of a preview of what we should be preparing for, these massive blackouts. Well, let me tell you about this now, because this is leaving everybody without the essentials. Now, more than 1.4 million customers over there in Puerto Rico lost electricity today, this afternoon to be exact, when all of the island's power plants were knocked out of service. Now, the cause was not immediately clear, although it's clear to us. It's not clear to say publicly yet, according to private electrical companies that generate and distribute Puerto Rico's power. The island often recovers slowly from power disruptions and has taken as long as several days to restore service after similar blackouts in the past. And let us not forget all the emergency food and funds that were sent to Puerto Rico that were hidden when Trump sent them during the Trump 1.0 period. Who can forget that? And the leaders of the power plants that are supposed to have electricity, called Luma Energy, they don't have any comment at this time. No, they don't. Okay, that's going to leave it for headlines. But here's something else that came to mind I have to share with you, as I promised, the breaking points, the breaking tidbits now. Well, in a continuation of our autism talk just a few shows ago, well, RFK has just made a big announcement. Yes, he has. And I'm going to tell you some of the points. He's now just said autism rates in 8-year-old children have gone up. He said 1 in 36 have autism. 1 in 20 boys have autism. 1 in 12.5 boys in California have autism. So California is the highest. And California has the highest and most strictest miracle jab laws in the country. And that seems to be what's causing it, but they don't want to say it. Well, here is a little clip of Bobby talking just about
I
this.
want to just read you some of the little excerpts from some of the older studies. The baseline for autism in this country was established with the biggest, largest epidemiological study in history, a study of all 900,000 children in the state of Wisconsin, children under the age of 12. They found 0.7 children had autism in every 10,000. That's less than 1 in 10,000. Today we're at 1 in 31. That study also confirmed the 4-to-1 male to female ratio. There were at that time just over 60 children in Wisconsin with autism. And today it's around 20,000.
It's staggering, isn't it? It's staggering. You know what else is? North Korea. Let's get to World War III because I'm in that kind of mood tonight, shall we? Well, that brings us to World War III, and somebody is back from obscurity, and that is Kim Jong-un. We've already forgotten. Well, we haven't. Well, he hasn't either. North Korea is now newly just back in the arena as they're now testing nuclear submarine signals, escalating threats, they're saying. Russian backing suspected. Well, let me tell you the tidbits of this is now North Korea unveiled its first nuclear-powered submarine, escalating military tensions. Yes, indeed. Well, the submarine can carry up to 10 nuclear-capable missiles, threatening the United States and its regional security. Experts suspect Russian assistance in developing such a submarine, signaling a dangerous alliance now. South Korea also is facing growing pressures to pursue its own nuclear programs at this time. And also, something to be notable about the development undermines the past diplomatic efforts and could trigger, they're saying, a regional arms race. Well, there's no could anymore, isn't there? There is. And there's no word on what color the submarine is, but if it was my guess, I would say yellow at this case. And that's World War III, but we still have to get to politics as Aaron is just ready to go, so let's do it. We are here at Real Deal Politics. Okay, well, tempers are flaring. There's no doubt about that. And we know there's an act of, well, hostility across the United States and the world for that fact. But tempers are now flaring as few Republicans hold in-person town halls. I don't know if you've seen this already. I don't know if you have managed to feel the tension. But there is certainly a video that is circulating, and I'll provide that for you. But one of these tensions here is a heckler got tased at the Green Taylor conference. And let me tell you about it, and I'll try to show that video as time goes on here. But yes, the heckler got tased, which we haven't seen in some time. No, we haven't. Here's what happened, and I have the video I will show you. So a heckler at the Representative Marjorie Green Taylor town hall just yesterday, as we're now finding out, was tased by police as supporters of the Congresswoman cheered. Now, at least 3 people were removed from the town hall after interrupting the event, including a man who had to be tased by police after he became violent. On footage that you'll see shortly here, you're going to see just that, and you decide if this is excess force. I don't believe it is, but I could be wrong, which can't be true. Anyways, check this out, and maybe Aaron might think it's excessive. Well, we'll find out. He does love, he loves being tased. So here it is. Tempers flare. Just wanted to show you that. Let me try that again. Oh, live television. Here it is. Tased man.
Hands up. Behind your back. This is a peaceful town hall. Now, this is a peaceful town.
Well, that looked pretty peaceful. That looked pretty peaceful. What do you think, Aaron? Did that look bad? Oh, he's not answering. Okay, all right. Anyways, we're going to continue now. Just one more here. As now RFK in a sweltering move now. Speaking of Bobby, well, Bobby has made a big move now as he's now tapped a man who they're saying harmfully injected autistic children with anti-puberty drug to run his autism study. Sounds crazy, but that's the way it's being presented. Maybe there's a link to it, some kind of craziness. Well, the Health and Human Services Secretary, the newly appointed one, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has now tapped a man who used the controversial, potentially dangerous puberty-delaying treatments on autistic children to help treat autism in a new study he was trying. Well, the move came at a time when much of the Republican Party has been trying to outlaw the use of puberty blockers and related treatments for children experiencing gender dysphoria, which I didn't know what that was. I thought, so is it gender dysphoria or is it transhumanism? Well, the study was announced recently by Kennedy during a cabinet meeting last week, you might recall. Well, he said, quote, "By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic and we'll be able to eliminate those exposures." Now, such a declaration is uncommon in the world of medical research because of how unorthodox that can be. But many people who are familiar with this matter say, give Kennedy the time to do it because we all know where it's coming from. Don't be stupid. And that's how that one is in Real Deal Politics. Okay, we're going to bring Aaron on here as now we're going to get to Everything Canada. And I'll tell you, this Mark Carnage guy, he's really getting on people's nerves, isn't he? Let's get to it, shall we? Well, this is, as we segue into Everything Canada right now, well, Mark Carney, who is really just the Gerald Ford of prime ministers over there, like we had Gerald Ford after Nixon, who just was not elected. Well, now he's talking tough now, talks tough on Trump ahead of the Canadian election, which it's all the talk. Well, Mark Carney projects a steady hand amid U.S. tensions. He's not worried at all. Well, he's also saying conservative Pierre Poilievre struggles to adapt a campaign to Trump. Analysts are now saying liberals benefit from catering of support of left-leaning NDP. But now Carney, for someone who's trying to win election, Mark Carney has appeared taken back by a crowd of 300 chanting his name, which he's not used to. He's just used to silence and or middle fingers. So about 300 people chanting his name at a meet and greet. And the Liberal leader, the two-time central banker, if you recall, well, his topic was the President Donald Trump in pretty much every stump speech he's giving, and his imposition of tariffs and his jibes about making Canada the 51st state. Well, let me give you a quote, then we'll bring Aaron in here. Well, Carney, who's 60 years old, he said, quote, "His strategy is to break us so America can own us." He told the crowd, that's right, he said, "We are over the shock of betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons. And he can take him on in a fight any day." Well, that's some tough talk, isn't it? Well, let's bring on someone else who is doing some tough talk of his own. That's Toronto's favorite son, Inspector Aaron Cates. Aaron, welcome to World at War.
Good evening, ladies and gents. It's that time of, 'tis the season, Dean, springtime. It's time of Easter and Passover, good, very, spiritual time. And it's also election time in Canada. And
That's right.
it's either we start becoming friends with the either 51st state or USA, or we start learning our Chinese very soon, because this is what this election's all about. It's the biggest election in Canadian history, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, sorry. See, I already started. See, I'm sorry. I'm just getting used to what's coming.
Thanks, Steve.
Aaron, before we get into the treasure chest of toys you brought to us today, you want to make a statement on the tough talk, and then there's something else that's weird that seems to be going on in Canada that people are seeing in the sky everywhere. I'll show that in a second. But you want to make a statement on Carney's tough talk? Are you
I think it's
scared? Does he mean it?
no, not at all. No, it's all psychological operations. I mean, he's just pointing fingers, pointing the direction of Americans that, Americans are bad, Orange Man bad. We've had issues for 10 years under the Trudeau Liberal government, major crime crisis, drug crisis, 2 million Canadians at the food banks. Plus, people can afford to eat, high mortgage rates, inflation's off the chart. They just lowered the gas prices 20 cents. And they could have done that for the past couple of years. That was the carbon tax that they just got rid of, even though they're going to bring it back in a different form. So they could have made Canadians' lives a little bit easier. They're mismanaging money, spending it to Bangladesh for DEI programs, $272 million. They gave $30 billion to Ukraine. So all this mismanagement is your inflation. That's your money gone, no investment. And Canada has been a sinking ship for a long time. So we got a major election coming up. And I think, Dean, we got so much going on here. I was going to talk about shenanigans going on in the election. I got lots of stuff up for you there. And we were going to possibly, Dean, we were talking about doing a watch party next Monday, April the 28th, because that is the day of the Canadian election. So hopefully we can maybe try to put that together. I think our audience would really enjoy seeing a little different type of watch party.
Yeah, it should definitely be covered. And I can tell you, Aaron, as an American, I'm not really. I didn't flinch at Mark Carney's tough talk. I didn't. It got me to flinch as much as Justin Trudeau's tough talk got me to flinch.
The
You know
horror
what I
of
mean?
that. Well, we found out
I mean,
Mark Carney's wife. I think it's a he actually. So I don't know.
wait,
His wife's the he. So
are you
kind of
kidding?
like
Do we have a picture of
Michelle
this?
Obama. Yeah, we did actually. Remember him on the last show? I think I sent it to you.
Okay,
Big Adam's apple. Not looking
okay.
good for Mr. Mark, but he loves
No,
all of
no,
that. He's already said
no.
he wants his government to be woke and DEI programs and all that stuff. So he's totally into the Trudeau same old routine.
Okay. Well, okay. I want to get started now, but I'll forget to do this if I don't show you. One of our members posted this, and we're seeing this more and more throughout the world, but particularly Canada for some reason. And Aaron, tell me if you know anything about this or if you've seen anything weird like this.
I will
This
let you know.
happened in Canada today. Here it is.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be famous. So you have all wanna die, unidentified flying.
Yo, what is that?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be famous. So you have all wanna die, unidentified flying.
Okay. Wow.
I love the
Wonderful
guy giving the
commentary.
commentary. Oh yeah, amazing. I want to have the guy on the show. We should get him on for a
And the best part
show.
is I have a feeling too that he typed the title of the name of where that stemmed from, of Canada, Vancouver, Vancouver,
yeah.
Canada.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
And okay, now let me ask you this, Aaron. Where do we stand on the Oliveri? Where is
Peter
he standing
Oliveri.
with the Canadian? Yeah, where is he standing with the Canadian people, and where do you think he's standing with us?
Okay, awesome. Okay, so for now, if you want to go to the polls, Dean, I sent you 2 pictures of the polls. There was one back in January, I think, just the beginning of January, and that was, remember, Trudeau and the Liberals. They were like out in the polls. He had to retire and bring in Mark Carney, and they went through the whole Liberal election thing. So back then, I don't know if you see it there, but there's a picture. The Conservatives were in the lead. They were at 46, and the Liberals were at 20, and the respective other parties had the difference in the percentage. And as of today, you can see that the Liberals are they're ahead right now. I think they're at was it 42, yeah, here you go. So let's go back here. I'd rather take a look at this. So this is January 7th. You can see the Conservatives are far ahead, 46, Liberals 20, NDP 17. And if you move it to the new one that I sent you, 3 months later, in just 3 months, Mark Carney comes in, no charisma. I don't know. He hasn't done anything. Canadians still suffering. They shut down our parliament for 3 months. Our parliament's still shut down. And as of today, the polls are showing that the Liberals are in front. Mysteriously, they've come from 20% almost to 43%, and Pierre Poilievre is only at 37. NDP is 8.4.
Now,
Yeah.
wait a minute. How did this? I thought this guy's gone. How did the Jack Me Singh? How is he still there?
Well, we figured out that I've done some inspecting, and these are Kamala polls. I don't believe these for 1 second. There's no way in Inspector Cates's numbers game that these guys
Who
came
the hell's
from
this guy? Is that Steve
this guy.
Carell? This guy right here, the BQ?
At the bottom, PPC, that's Maxime Bernier.
Who are
Yeah,
these
that's hilarious.
losers?
And the other guy
Okay,
looks like
that
Alex
is
Rodriguez there.
okay.
The Yankees.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot of shenanigans going on. I have a list of shenanigans. If you allow me, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah.
Go in order?
Well, I want to present this too. This is Tucker Carlson's take on Oliveira. I thought it really works into what you're discussing here. Have a look at this.
Awesome.
Fraud to me, like a pretty sinister fraud.
But he's doing a campaign against Trump. Because
How about stopping immigration from India and Pakistan? Is that
first, please, yes, first.
But that's not even a consideration because
no, they are pandering. The liberals and the conservatives are pandering to these ethnic communities for votes. Poilievre said we need to have 250,000 foreigners a year, plus international students, plus temporary foreign workers, plus refugees. That will be about 1.5 million foreigners over 3 years. That is mass immigration. In the middle of a mass immigration crisis, we cannot afford that.
Who's paying him to do that? No one in Canada is benefiting from this. So why would Poilievre and Trudeau be embracing the same policy that everyone hates and is destroying Canada?
Yeah, you have a point there. 70% of the population in Canada are saying no to mass immigration.
Here, Poilievre, he seems like a...
All right, leave it to me to make some answers. Yeah, I saw that actually just before the show. I got that answer just before the show. Had no idea we were going to play that video, but I saw that video. So firstly, the guy, Maxime Bernier, his party just almost has no chance. They're going to probably get like 1 or 2%. I do like some of the policies he's talking about, conservatism and the real, against the miracles and stuff like that. But he also was pandering to his constituents as well. So what he says, you got to take with a grain of salt. All the politicians have their own thing, but right now we can't look back. We really got to get a change of batter, and the only one that can get us to the next base is Pierre Poilievre, and we really need a change. And we can try to continue to press people when we get that change. But right now, Dean, we got Kamala polls. Those, I call them Kamala polls because remember when Kamala was, in the race, all the polls had her in, and somehow mysteriously President Trump took over, and that happened also in 2016. Hillary was supposed to win, and President Trump won that as well. So, so there's a lot of shenanigans going on. You want me to explain? I have a little list here of all the things that are coming here.
And I think the audience agrees with you, Aaron. They said, "I don't." This is Kim Darcy saying, "I don't believe polls. Vote conservative and bring your pen." Yeah, bring your pen and your pepper spray too. Okay, let's get into some of the things you sent, Aaron, as tonight's show is going to be unusually odd timing, as now there's something happening with the Trudeau Foundation.
This is crazy. I got this yesterday.
Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, go ahead. Tell us about it, and I'll make your wishes come true. Go ahead.
Awesome. Okay, so a lot of people don't really know, but there's some members on the Trudeau Foundation has cut ties with the Trudeau family. The Justin Trudeau's brother, remember, you keep moving it on me. Alexander is being ousted after defending a 6-figure donation from Chinese communist operatives. So there's a connection. Same thing with the Arkansas Foundation. They have their own connections, kind of a thing. Well, the Trudeau Foundation has its connection to CCP ties. So now they're cutting ties with the actual family name. Found that very interesting. And
is Pierre just a common name in Canada now? I always equated that to France, but I guess it seems to be more Canadian these days. It's a Canadian observation.
Yeah, French Canadian name. Yeah.
Got it.
Very
Okay.
French
See, we
Canadian.
learn something new all the time here. Here's something interesting regarding the elections in Canada. Now, what's underway with what do we have here, Aaron? Please tell us.
Okay, so this is one of the shenanigans. So inspectors always looking for things, and I see on Elections Canada. Hi, we have informed that duplicate voter information cards have been printed and mailed by mistake to some registered electors. To better access the situation, could you please send us a DM and let us know which riding you live in? Can you continue moving down, Dane, if you can? So I can read the rest of it.
Of course.
There you go. Okay, awesome. Where was I there? I think you went too
So,
far.
so they're saying to better assess the situation, send us a direct message and let us know which riding you live in, whatever. You
Yeah,
can
and then they'll
dispose the
probably send.
duplicated card. So they're talking about the ID cards?
Yeah, they mailed in double duplicated cards, just kind of like remember they in the U.S. election where some people got like 20 cards or 20 ballots, this and
Yeah, they're
that. So they
cheating.
basically mailed in extra ballots. Of course, they're just telling it to your face that they're doing that. That's
They're
one way.
cheating.
Of course it is. That's just one way, Dean. I got a few ways. Can you allow me to explain a few
And,
different
and,
options that
and there's
they're
not going to be any retribution from our standpoint. Go ahead, Aaron. Keep going.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, awesome. So that's just one of the ways. So
Yes.
also Elections Canada has come out about last week and said that there was foreign interference, that they were targeting, China was targeting Mark Carney with social media and basic targeting, they said. But that definition, I don't like that. I would say more like propping up and giving him positive, attributes and making Pierre and everyone else look bad. So that's foreign interference. And they literally came out and said it. So that's one thing. Now the polls, as you can see, all the polls. I'm looking at all the people who are behind the polls. A lot of them are liberal people who either post liberal stuff on their media. So those are the polls, not looking good. Mainstream media also propping up. Mark Carney. Mark Carney has given, and Trudeau has given them $1 billion. CBC and CTV, they give another $150 million, I believe, a couple of weeks ago. So all the mainstream media, they don't want to lose their jobs. Of course, they're going to prop up liberals. So they own the mainstream media. We had another situation, we call it Buttons Gate, happened about 3 days ago, where
Right.
liberal MPs were in a conservative rally. I think it was in Ottawa. And they brought in these buttons that said some stuff about pro-Trump, this and that, trying to divide the rally. And then later
Right.
down the road, they were laughing at a bar, and they got caught by CBC reporters and other reporters over laughing about these buttons. So they approached Mark Carney about it, like, who paid for these buttons? They really tried to cause chaos at a conservative rally. What was the point behind it? So there's just all these things. All the conservative signs are being taken down. You're seeing ripped up. And there's just a lot of shenanigans, all the same stuff going on that the USA elections were going through. So I'm ready for this.
Okay, Aaron, I want to hold you over here. Well, we have a break, but I want to get to the whistleblowers
I've got
about
some
the
big stuff on this,
9
yeah.
RCMP whistleblowers. Okay, because you sent me a video on that. Which, by the way, God, if Jim was here, you want to talk about the resurgence of Sandy Hook real quick. Here is this is totally off topic, I know, but it's very rare that we have this ready. If you watch YouTube, by the way, you might see the Sandy Hook Promise commercials coming back again. And notice how when they come back, right here in the United States, we've had 2 lone gunman shootings that are now ramping up.
Oh, interesting.
And God, there's so much. Here's what I'm talking about, everybody. I just want to share this because it's very rare. You can't find this. It only pops up every so often. So, so this is kind of for Jim if he was here. Just check this out. This is pretty crazy.
Okay.
Look at this.
Make assault rifles illegal for civilians. There's no practical application in civilized society for assault rifles. We need your help. Please tell Congress to outlaw them now. Thank you.
There you go. There you go. Take action now. Sandy Hook Promise. Do you see that? Do you see that, Aaron?
Yeah, well, Carney
So
wants to get rid of everyone's guns. That's one of the
Okay, so anyways, all right, so we'll stop it there. Okay, Aaron, stand by. We got to take this quick break as we are almost out of time for reasons unknown here, as I'm a floating head, as you can see here tonight, as the great Conent would say. All right, we'll be right back here at World at War with closing a few articles, but we're going to tell you who the whistleblowers are. And the treason is it's the season 4 treason in Canada, per usual. And we're going to tell you what the whistleblower said here and who they are, who's funding who by China over there in Canada, because it affects us right here in the United States. Don't move. We'll be right back after this quick break. Okay, we are back here. World at War's People's Republic of Canada. And look how nurturing Trudeau, who seems to be in hiding, look how nurturing he is with Xi Jinping. Isn't that just something you just want to hang in your, well, I don't want to say kitchen, but we'll find a place. Anyways, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to World at War, the #1 shadow band show. I'm still Dean Ryan, as we are pressed for time tonight. We have the technical problems from hell, per usual. But thank you for being here. If you can actually find us and see us, we're going to round things up here with Aaron, as Aaron has brought some goodies here tonight. And we're going to get into the 9 traitors, supposed 9 traitors in the Mark Carnage cabinet. And he sent me a video. Okay, Aaron, welcome back to the stage. Aaron Cates. Aaron, you sent me a video, but sadly it's 23 minutes.
I don't want you to pay 20 minutes. Maybe the first couple minutes. I don't need you to play the 20.
Okay, that's
and then we'll
much
just
different.
Play off of
much
it.
different. Okay,
I wouldn't do that to you, Dean. Try to make your life
different.
as simple as possible.
See, you got to force it out of Aaron sometimes. You just got to protest. Okay, so here it is. This is Mr. Mark Carnage, the man we should be scared of, who's beating his chest like a cheerleader from high school. Here it is. Go ahead.
These are not small changes. These are not changes in words. These are enormous economic changes.
Holy smokes. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we've got an RCMP and a police officer from the Vancouver Police Department releasing an open letter to Mark Carney saying that his government is compromised, and a handful of people, I think 9 of them, have to be removed from his cabinet, stating that there's evidence they knew about foreign interference and did nothing about it to protect Canadians. We also got Mark Carney questioned on the whole Button Gate situation. Pierre Poilievre coming out hard on crime and cracking down on Mark Carney for supporting Justin Trudeau's catch and release, hug a thug laws we have in our country. Got a bunch of other stuff here. Let's jump into this. But look at this bombshell coming out here.
Aaron,
so evidence was just
play for 2 minutes if you can.
Okay, yeah. So hold on. I'm gearing it up here. So set it up a bit more. So there's 9. Do you know who those are right off the bat, Aaron? Who are the 9 people?
I can name a couple names just to let you know. So basically, there was 2 major officers. One was a RCMP officer, and the other one was a police officer who's been on the Vancouver police force for 25 years. both of them noticed that the MPs, they were trying to, let them know that there was foreign interference from China and that the evidence presented is enough evidence to do something about it. They informed many different MPs. Nothing was done about it, including the prime minister, including many different civil ministers and so forth. Nobody has done anything about it. So these two people just came to wrote a letter recently to Mark Carney, who's our current prime minister, about these 9 individuals who definitely have ties to China. Chrystia Freeland is definitely on the list. Dominic LeBlanc, Melanie Joly, our foreign affairs minister. There's a few others there. Anita Anand, a few other names. They're not saying that it's not necessarily. Remember the 11 MPs that were tied to China? He doesn't know if that's exactly the same things that the other RCMP was talking about a few years ago. But these ones, 9 with evidence and receipts, I have all of that saved. It's in the. If you can watch another minute or two of this video, it really would give a little bit more.
Yeah,
But,
Aaron, we
yeah.
sadly we're due to time constraints here tonight.
That sucks.
We're going to have to revisit that. I know it really does, believe me. But kind of in closing here, Aaron, give us kind of a final thought here about how this election and what we should expect. With 2 different outcomes here, as you were pointing out, what should we expect to follow after, the several outcomes here? If Poilievre wins, the other one if Mark Carnage remains. How are the Canadian people going to react to either one?
Well, okay, I'll start off with we had the French debate tonight, and apparently Pierre sounded pretty good. Jagmeet Singh got really rattled, and Mark Carney's French wasn't so great, so it didn't look so good. Tomorrow night's going to be the English debate. That's the one I really want to see. As far as Canadians are concerned, majority of Canadians are very concerned economically and where the direction of the country is going. The country is being mismanaged, and I always tell you, Dean, if you run a business and you want to treat it like a business, if you have a good business, a good CEO will do good things, amazing things, you'll have lots of profits and prosperity. A bad CEO certainly bankrupt a business. Mark Carney is a bad CEO. It's a World Economic Forum, Bank of Canada. He has businesses ties to China, talks about net zero, climate change, all the things. If you give them all your money, he's going to fix everything. He hasn't been in Canada for 10 years. He's only been there installed the last 3 months. Our parliament's shut down. We're completely being held hostage.
Absolutely.
I'll leave it at this. The elections, Canada has already come out and said that China is targeting Mark Carney. It's not targeting him. He's propping him up, making him look good in social media. And the mainstream media is complete. Canada is under siege right now. It's, I really believe that God has this and we'll get through it. And there's going to be a blue wave. Pierre's going to win.
Right.
But it's a really tough uphill battle. Same thing with Kamala in the polls and what President Trump had to go through.
We want the best outcome. We want the best outcome for Canada. And you could see Aaron and I and probably some others do some color commentary on the April 28th, correct? Did I get that right? April 28th?
Monday night. I'd like to do a watch party, and maybe I'll see if I can get a couple other Canadian podcasters because it's our biggest election in Canadian history, guys.
Yeah. So election night in Canada, April 28th. Mark your calendars. Aaron and I will be there. So that you can bet on that. Okay, Aaron, Cates, everybody, thank you very much.
All right, thanks. Good night, guys.
Good night. There you have it. Okay, we're going to continue now with the dwindling time frame that we have still. As that's just a lot to take in, isn't it? Our neighbors to the north are being held hostage by a globalist once again, just as much as our neighbors across the pond and our neighbors down under too. They definitely need our support at this time. We're going to just whiffle through some Real Deal International, and let's take the Concorde there to do it, shall we? Well, speaking of the UK, this is kind of a continuation on last night's just wild video that's ramping around when a citizen of England just asked somebody if they knew or could speak English. That's now defined as a hate crime. Yes, the nanny state is getting a little too close for comfort, in my view, and common sense as well. Well, get this now. The UK's government's pre-crime AI sparks civil liberties debate amid claims of bias and privacy invasion. Well, in my view, it should spark more than a civil liberties debate. It should spark a revolution. at this time. But it's a wild story here as we continue now. Well, this is now coming out of Natural News, and thankfully for it. Well, the UK government is now developing an AI-driven homicide prediction, aka thought crime system that analyzes personal data, including ethnicity, mental health, and past police interactions to identify potential future murderers, drawing comparisons to sci-fi films like Minority Report. Well, that's exactly where this is stemming from. And you bet your bottom dollar that it always starts in the Commonwealth and then comes to the US. I should say then goes to Canada and then trickles down here to the blue states. We've seen this for the past 5 years now. Well, the system aggregates sensitive personal data from crime victims, witnesses, and non-convicted individuals, raising concerns about racial profiling, wrongfully targeting, and erosion of civil liberties. Now, many advocacy groups warn it could criminalize vulnerable people preemptively. Experts compare the project to flawed U.S. predictive policing tools in the past, citing bias. It's also worth noting that the UK initiative mirrors U.S. experiments with AI-driven pre-crime detection. See, I told you this is coming here next. Fueling the fears of normalized dystopian surveillance in the surveillance security states. The lack of transparency renaming the project from homicide prediction to risk assessment, and what a PR move that is. Well, it suggests efforts to evade scrutiny rather than address the ethical flaws. And that's just how government does it, don't they? Continuing now, well, that brings us to China once again, who seems to be the country of the hour and the century, as they were promised this new century. Well, now they're suspending Boeing. Yes, that's right. China now suspends Boeing deliveries as U.S.-China tensions escalate, raising economic and security concerns. Well, let me tell you a bit more here, as now China halts Boeing aircraft deliveries amid escalating trade tensions, yes, throughout all the tariffs. Well, the suspension is politically motivated, many are saying, rather than safety-related, following China's pattern of weaponizing trade during disputes. It's also worth noting Boeing faces a significant revenue loss as China represents roughly, get this, 20% of its commercial marketing. Well, the standoff highlights the vulnerabilities of America's industrial base, dependence on adversarial trade partners. Finally, both aggressive retaliation and maintaining the status quo pose risk to American and economic and national security interest. I'd say so, yeah. I definitely say so. Not even maybe. Well, continuing with Hungary now, a wonderful country with a wonderful leader who seems to like the American way a lot. Well, now Hungary is now following the way of the Trump administration as they just passed a constitutional amendment affirming that there are only two genders. Yes, it's offensive. It's very offensive in many eyes. Well, now Hungary's parliament has now passed an amendment defining gender as strictly male or female, declaring that the mother is a woman and the father is a man. I'm sorry, but when we need a whole House of Congress and a whole room of politicians to declare this, that just tells you what a sick society this entire world is being just held down under, plagued with, and forced into. That's right. Well, the amendment prioritizes children's moral and physical development above most other rights, except the right to life. Well, it extends Hungary's 2021 ban on LGBTQ plus topics in school materials. The amendment codifies bans on pride marches and LGBT public events, allowing authorities to use facial recognition for enforcement. Dual citizens deemed threats to public order or national security may lose Hungarian citizenship for up to 10 years now. That's right. And part of Prime Minister Viktor Orban's vow to eliminate foreign-funded activists and NGOs. That's a big one right there. That's where the infiltration comes from. Now, opposition lawmakers, well, who cares what they say at this moment? Just we're basking in a win for a change. But yeah, they're against it. They're saying, you know the drill. So that's our Real Deal International. Now, this is a wild story here in the little time we have. As now you may have remembered, Mel Gibson was tapped to do the film department over there in Hollywood with some other bigwigs. As now we go to Real Deal Showbiz. But he's now sparking a lot of controversy that's making waves. In fact, if you've been on X lately, you might have seen a lot of new footage coming out on 9/11. for a reason. Well, let's talk a bit more about it now, as Mel Gibson is sparking controversy and a lot of outcry over 9/11 biggest scandal remark as unanswered questions resurface. About damn time. Well, and this is why the official story of 9/11 is by this new generation who's growing up doesn't pass the sniff test. No, it doesn't. Well, acclaimed actor Mel Gibson, the Australian actor, I should say, Mel Gibson is now calling 9/11 America's biggest scandal as unanswered questions continue to resurface. For instance, points to consider, in case you may not know, well, the collapse of 3 World Trade Center buildings, despite only 2 being struck by planes, depending who you ask, defied conventional explanations. The National Institute of Standards and Technology claims Building 7 collapsed because of those pesky office fires, you may recall, but its free fall into its own footprint remains unexplained to the peer-reviewed science. Well, the National Institute of Standards and Technology office fire theory lacks empirical evidence. Yes, it does. As aerial footage shows no intense fires coming out of World Trade Center Building 7's upper floors to account for any structural failure. And on and on. I mean, we could go on all day. The anomalies, it doesn't make sense. Now, Mel Gibson, a Trump-aligned Hollywood star who is known for his Passion of the Christ, Lethal Weapon movies, I'm sure you recall. Well, he just posted just this past Tuesday, and posted an increasingly vocal verdict of a video, I believe Richard Gage, about the 9/11 shadowy, very murky details that seemed to be coming out at that time 20 years ago. And he's underscoring how a new investigation and a new conversation, for that fact, need to be had, as he's begging the question of what really happened that day. Why is no one allowed to talk about it, Mel Gibson added. And enough with the fear, it's time for the truth. And his challenge loops in a rare political space, linking himself to activists like Richard Gage of Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, and people like Jim Fetzer for Scholars for 9/11 Truth. And this would have been great 20 years ago, 15, 10 years ago, but you got to take it where you can get it from, in my view. There's that one as Real Deal Showbiz comes to a close, and that brings us to some Real Deal Health.
Paging Dr. Ryan.
Real Deal Health. And this is a very important story, and it affects a lot of people, and it's called sleep. And they're saying if you don't get enough of it, it affects your heart and can cause heart disease real quick. That's right. They're saying sleep is more than just a few hours in bed, as the AHH, if you don't know what that is, it stands for the American Heart Association. Well, they're now confirming that sleep health involves timing, regularity, vitality, not just duration. And that's within the bed, they're saying. Well, poor sleep patterns increase risk of heart disease, stroke, diabetes, obesity, irregular sleep schedules, and late bedtimes heighten cardiovascular dangers. And I'm guilty of that, no doubt. The pharmaceutical sleep aid market ignores root causes in favor of symptom management. And here's a quick holistic solution for all of us. Like natural light alignment and stress reduction are crucial for restoration of your sleep. That's right. The dangers of ignoring these things are through the roof. So if you want good duration, less than 7 or more than 9 hours increases heart disease risk. So less than 7, more than 9, you're going to get a heart attack. So you have to time it within that 7 to 9 little time frame. So what does that equal? 8? Well, continuity of this particular problem, fragmented sleep, walking frequently raises odds of high blood pressure and heart disease. They're saying if you don't walk enough. And night owls face higher risk of stiff arteries and obesity. Okay, that's just enough there. I think we get the point here. So you have to sleep 8 hours. And I'm guilty of that. I need help. I do. And Mike, if you're watching, I need your help. But yes, and I think Sean Gregorian feels the same way. Look at that. What just a little guy he is over there. Just a little fun guy. Okay, next story here as we go to real deal sexes. Well, there's something that is another danger to this world and our societies, and it's not just misinformation, disinformation, or the threat of toxic masculinity. No, no, it's not. There's a new toxicity we need to be worried about. It's called toxic beauty. That's right. Are you aware of this? Well, if you have children or grandchildren, you might need to know. Yes, the rise of what they're now labeling toxic beauty, the rise of the looks maxing influencers are now affecting kids as TikTok influencers are really the craze of the town lately. And it's highlighting a toxicity that we need to know about that could affect our children in generations to come. They're now called looks maxing influencers over there at TikTok, which I never been on, don't care to, but a lot of people do. Part of an online ecosystem dubbed the manosphere. Manosphere have surged in popularity and across social media, capitalizing on the insecurities of younger men eager to boost their physical attractiveness to women. Just like the peacocks, they strut their feathers. Men do the same thing in a way. When posts across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, well, this new kind of pseudo way of living and toxicity for that fact, they promote pseudo-scientific methods to achieve everything from pouty lips to chin extensions and almond-shaped hunter eyes. Smoky eyes, as they say in the fashion world, often while monetizing their popularity by endorsing a range of consumer products. These extreme cases, these influencers advocate for taking steroids, undergoing plastic surgery, and yes, I would have never guessed, leg lengthening to become more attractive, which I don't even know how that would work. Where they stretch you if you're not tall enough. So basically, let me just tell you the underlining to this all is they're finding new toxicities everywhere, but there's a lot of truth to that because the online influencers are really poisoning a lot of the, causing new forms of dysphoria rather, of bodies, personalities to a very vulnerable youth of today. But yeah, toxic beauty is a thing. Can you believe it? Anyways, that's going to bring us to toxic final thoughts. That's right. You know, we're on to toxicity. Yes, again. Your toxic host, he's coming back. Well, it's our toxic final thought, and what a night it's been for the People's Republic of Canada as the world is watching. What is Canada going to do now that the election is coming faster than, Trudeau left the Parliament House? And in fact, where is Trudeau? Does anyone know? There's got to be a bounty on his noggin, don't you think? Well, now to just put it into perspective, which way Canada chooses is the way America is going to have to respond, dare I say react. And when America does react and respond to a certain choice of Canada, hint, hint, China, there's going to be a bigger problem and a bigger conundrum for the people of Canada that goes well beyond tariffs, and that's called war, sadly, because our Canadian friends, neighbors need to be freed and may not have the firepower to do so. But just like World War II, that's where the GIs, that's where the true Americans step in, because we have to save our friends to the north. And it's not going to be through Mark Carnage. And I'm not even sure it's going to be through Olivera Pagliari. I'm not even sure at this point in time. Anyways, a quick note here, due to our tech problems here tonight, I do apologize, but I will be back tomorrow night. We're going to be doing Real Deal Media live. We want to take all your questions, comments, and concerns, and feel free to call in. We hope you can join us tomorrow night. Also, big thanks to John Bound for our intro tonight. Wonderful bass lines and vocals, backing vocals. Thankfully, we have people of that talent in this industry. Anyways, for Aaron Cates and the rest of us here in the United States, I'm Dean Ryan, saying thank you for sharing a bit of your night with all of us here at World at War, the #1 shadow band show. Until next time, always remember to stay tuned and stay awake, and I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
There's a time when I'd rather be howling or walking outside my room, smiling but free. Yeah, free. Oh, man, yeah, tomorrow. Find my way home. Man, yeah, tomorrow. Find my way home. Baby, tomorrow. Find my way home. Maybe tomorrow. I'm on my way, found my way home. Looking around at a beautiful life, and the upside down in the inside of out of a breeze. Wanna breeze, wanna open my mouth, swim in the ocean, wanna take my time with me. Yeah. Oh, man, that's tomorrow. Find my way home. Man, that's tomorrow.